actually had pension all the way up to the 1960s and early 1970s. Then they changed our retirement plan outside of Social Security. They encourage us to put our retirement in places that we could actually lose it. And they say the market always corrects itself. And the example I always show people is this. If you have $100,000, right? You have $100,000 and the market goes down 50%. I'm gonna ask someone now, if the market goes on 50% negative 50%, right? You start off with $100,000. How much money do you have now? Can someone answer? You have $100,000 in an account. The market goes on 50%. How much money do you have now?
50,000.
$50,000 left now.
$50,000. Okay, let's say the following year, the market corrects itself and the market goes back up 50%. How much money do you have now?
So you gain back your $100,000.
Okay.
No, 75,000.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay. So you see that, right? You see a perfect example of the market correcting itself, but your money didn't correct itself. So the theory that we've learned that hey, the market always corrects itself is true. But if you are, I'm just gonna say 55 years old, and you're gonna retire at age 60, and the market tanks and you lose your money, there is a great chance that your money will never go back to where it used to be. But you still have to retire at age 60, and that's the reason why you see a lot of people go back to work, work till they, we from what society people call the third world, right? There is no human being, and I can speak for the black population worldwide. I've never in my entire life walking through this earth, and I've been on 6 or 7 continents, right? I've never met a person who left Africa, the Caribbean, or South America and say, hey, I'm going to America to live, and that is where I want to spend the rest of my life. That is where I want to go on pension. Or never. Everyone had a plan to go there, make some money, live some life, build back a nice house back in Africa and Caribbean, and send their children to college and all those things, and go back home. But I'm gonna show you why most of the time it never happened. Most of the time it never happened, unfortunately. So I'm gonna just go through real fast here. So in when it comes to taxes, let's break it down. There are 3 ways that you pay taxes in America, right? 3 ways. You have taxes now, right? Taxes now. You have taxes later. I'm using my mouse right here, guys, so please. And then you have taxes never. So in taxes now, I'm gonna move real fast now. In taxes now, we have CDs, which is certificate of deposit, right? You have savings account. You have money market account, right? You have mutual fund. You have stocks. And then of course, stocks and bonds, and then another version, you have real estate, right? Because that's and the taxes now too. So we're talking about now real estate investment and rental property support, right? So all of these here are called investment vehicles. Now the key word to remember here is vehicle, right? So when you see these investment accounts here, just think about a car, and I'm going to show you why it's important to think about a vehicle, because I'm going to show you what a garage is versus what a vehicle. So now, if you have a vehicle and you purchase, I mean, if you buy a car and you have car note on the car, and you owe the bank money, you don't pay for the car, and you park it outside, the repo man can take the car, right? Because there's a note on it and you're paying it on time, so the repo man can take it. So are these vehicles. If you have any one of these vehicles, CD, savings account, money market, mutual fund, stocks, or real estate, and you park it outside, people can take it away from you. People can sue you to take it away from you. Divorce could cause you to lose them. A lot of things can happen where you can lose these things. And later on, I'm going to show you how you can own them so that they can be protected from creditors and also probate. Now, if you die and you have money in any one of these vehicles and you didn't own it in certain entities, it's going to go through probate. The probate fee in America is between 3 to 8%, depends on your estate. You are going to have to pay estate tax. Estate tax in America, if your estate is over the threshold for estate tax, it's 55% of your net estate belongs to the government, and the difference goes to probate, and then your family will sometimes get the rest after all of the creditors are satisfied. So that's American reality. So the reason why these here are called taxes now is because each time you get paid, you have to pay taxes on these accounts. I'm going to give you an example. Now, let's say, for example, you have an individual who make, hypothetically speaking, let's say you have a person who makes $50,000 per year, right? That's W-2 income, and your tax bracket is 25%. Whereas other than hypothetical, let's say tax bracket is 25%, that means you pay like about $12,500 in taxes, right? Now, let's say from your $50,000, they told you that you save 10% towards your future. So you said, I'm going to invest this 10%, and I'm going to invest, I'm just going to say in a mutual fund, right? So mutual fund, and then let's say that's $5,000. You put $5,000 in a mutual fund. $5,000. The market pays 10%. So now that the market pays 10%, you made $500. Now, this $500, they're going to send this to you on a 1099 again. So now you pay tax on this entire $50,000. After you pay taxes on it, you put $5,000 into, that's from your $35,000, whatever that is. After the $12,500 is taken out, he said, I'm going to take $5,000 from the after tax dollars and you're going to put it into an account. And you make 10%. Now you have to pay tax on this money again. Now, not only do you have to pay tax on this money again, they're going to take this $500 and then they're going to add it to this $50,000, and that now get to determine what they call an AGI, your adjustable gross income. And that's what determines your tax bracket. So as you increase your asset base, you now have to pay tax at a higher tax bracket for income tax, and you have to pay between 15 and 20% on this guy right here. It's capital gain tax. So that's a double taxation. So in this occasion, the IRS win the game. So now in America, if you want to win the money game in America, the people who you have to understand, study, and make your best friend is the IRS. Now, oftentimes I hear people talk about money and they make it seem that IRS is the worst entity in America. But I can tell you this: the best entity in America that you could ever find is the IRS. The IRS can be your best friend, they can be your worst enemy. But if you understand the rules to the game, the IRS is the best thing that can ever happen to you. Now, most people would see this happen and say, man, I don't want this situation here. I don't want to pay the double taxation. I want my money to grow, because if every time I make $500, I have to pay tax on it again, it's going to take longer time for my money to grow. So what they said, hey, we're going to introduce something to you called taxes later. And you don't have to pay tax on this money while it's growing. So
your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Some of these accounts are IRA, right? You have one called SEP IRA, another one called TSP.
Your call has been forwarded to
401k. And then there's a 400 series because you have 401a, you have 403b, you have 457. All of those things are called the 400 series, right? But they're all the same thing. Now, I'm just going to use these as an example because all work the same way. Now, if you have an IRA, you have an individual with a retirement account. SEP IRAs mean that you're a self-employed or a small company. TSP means that you work for the federal government, it's a saving plan. 401k, it means that you work for a corporation that provides a qualified retirement plan. 403b, 457, 401a, all of those 400 series. It just means that you work for a quasi-government or a non-profit organization and so on. But it doesn't make a difference. It's the same structure. All these are, they are a garage where you get to park your investment vehicle. And that's one thing. And then the other thing is that the government gets to understand your situation, your work situation, right? So how many of you on this line here ever invest your money inside of any one of these accounts? Anyone? It's not no hard answer, there's no wrong answer, Anyone ever invest in any of these accounts? 401k, IRA, TSP, 43B, anyone?
Yes, me in 401k when I used to work.
Okay. So the reason why I say these are not investment vehicles, so when you invest in a 401k, right, you didn't invest in 401k. 401k is what you set up, right? But they also say you should invest in something else from over here, right? Like you have to choose a vehicle to invest in. So you have to invest in mutual fund or stocks or real estate. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So over here, this is like a garage that they said this is how your money is going to be treated for tax purposes. You're going to be able to grow your money before tax and pay taxes on it later. But the risk that you have over here where you could lose your money is not gone. The risk still exists. So now, at least over here, you know that, okay, I could lose my money in the market, but I lose my money and, I have a retirement account elsewhere, right? Over here is a psychological thing where they say, listen, this is your retirement account and it's called 401k. But in reality, there is no such investment as 401k. The investments are stocks, mutual fund, money market, whatever, real estate, right? Those are the investments. So all they do is that they take your vehicle from over here, I'm just gonna say mutual fund, and they park it over here. Now, because it's under this account, you may find it in a company like Vanguard, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, Merrill Lynch, and so on, right? We set those up, even us. We set up 401k plans too. I mean, we set up all of these plans, right? For that matter. So you will find it in one of these accounts. If it's a mutual fund, it's a combination of companies that you invest in. If it's a stock, more than likely you invest in the company that you work for, right? But in these accounts, there is two owners. One of the owner is you and the other owner is the IRS. Now, if you use the money in this plan here before age 59 and a half, right, what happened?
You pay big tax on it.
There is a 10% penalty.
Yep.
Right? There's a 10% penalty plus your tax.
Of course.
Now, most people know about this rule because they always try to access the money in this plan. The rule that most people don't know is this one. Age 70. Right? When you reach age 70, I think it's age 72. Anyone can tell me what happened when you reach age 72? You ever seen this before? RMD, required minimum distribution. You ever heard that term before? if you reaches the age that the IRS say you have to start taking the required minimum distribution, and you're not taking the required minimum distribution, the IRS will take 50% of your money. 50% belongs to the IRS. So what happened to a lot of people, why you find people who continue to work to the older, is because a combination of these things happen. One of them is inflation. So for example, let's say when you started this account, you decided that you wanted to put in $5,000 in this account, and you said, I want to retire at age, I'm just gonna say 65, since that's the age they talk about retirement. Remember, retirement is not an age, it's a situation. So let's say I want to retire at age 65, and I want to receive income, let's say from age 65 to age, I'm just gonna say 90, right? Or 100. Now, remember when you were working, let's say in your 40s, you were making $50,000 and you were living a $50,000 lifestyle. The house you live in, the car you drive, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the amount of time you travel back to Africa, all of those things. Let's say $50,000 was sufficient to take care of that. Now, remember what they say to you when you're planning for retirement. They said, oh, when you get older, you're gonna need less money because your mortgage will be paid off, and you're not gonna have the kids to send to school and all those things. You're gonna need less money. But one of the things that they don't take into consideration when they say that is really inflation. The average inflation rate in America is between 3 and 5%. And what I would encourage each of you to do is this. Instead of looking at the Census Bureau to determine your inflation rate, just look at all of the things that you normally purchase. The food that you buy, how they increase in not in value but in price over the years, the rice and the flour and the chicken and all of those things. Just look at the inflation rate and those items, the items that you're actually going to need to use when you reach age 65. And that is how you get to determine your inflation rate. But the average inflation rate is between 3 to 5%. Now, if you take 5 and you divide by 72, and I'm going to explain to you why 72. Because there's a money rule, it's called the rule of 72. 72 is a formula used by the Census Bureau to determine how long it takes for the population to double. Banks and financial institutions use it to determine how long it takes for money to double. So if you want to learn how long it's going to take for your money to double, just take any interest rate given and divide it into 72, and that's how long it will take for your money to double. So 5 into 72, let's say the 14 point something years, right? So I'm just gonna say in 15 years, the cost of living in America will double. What this means is that, it means that your lifestyle that you're now living with $50,000, in 15 years, you're gonna need $100,000 to live that same lifestyle. Exact same lifestyle, because of cost of living. Now, because this is very important, because you have not paid tax on this money yet, you haven't paid taxes on this money yet. When you're ready to use your money, because you're living this $50,000 lifestyle, you need $100,000. If you're taking $100,000, your tax bracket is no longer 25%, like it was when you were doing $50,000. Let's say this was $35,000, right? So if it was $1 million that you saved up to retire, and it could last you for 20 years if you were taking $50,000, if you were taking $135,000 into $1 million, it wouldn't last that long. So most people would just go back to work, and they continue working to build up their retirement account, and then age 72 come around, and the IRS will now start taking 50%, and now it even cut your money down even further. Boom, retirement is out the window. So we just work. We just live in America. We just work. This is what they call the American dream. Now, if you had $50,000, if you had $1 million over here in this taxes never situation, $1 million, and let's say the market, which the S&P 500 pays an average 8%, right? Let's say it pays an average 8%. So you're making $80,000 per year, and it's $1 million, an average $80,000, because it's tax-free. You can make it tax-free and you can make it index, right? So if you're making an average $80,000 per year and you were getting $20,000 from Social Security benefits, now you're making $100,000 a year, $100,000. Let me just show you how powerful this is. You make $100,000 tax-free, and you won't be even required to file a tax return, because this will be tax-free, this will be tax-free, which makes the entire $100,000 tax-free, and now you could be living in Africa and don't have to file a tax return. The $1 million will stay here, and then when you passed away, that will now go to your family tax-free. Depends on how you structure it. Now you may wonder, why when I was over here with this $100,000 here, why I didn't mention this $20,000 about Social Security? Is because if you make $100,000 in taxable income, your Social Security benefit is now taxed. So though you make it, it's still going to be taxed. So it's going to increase your taxable income to now $120,000, which is going to affect your cash flow. The key thing when it comes to money is your buying power, because the rule said if you make more than $25,000 in taxable income, you now have to pay taxes on your Social Security benefit. So you could actually make $24,999 taxable income. Let's say that was coming from 401k, and you could make $100,000, any amount from a taxes never situation, and don't have to pay any taxes, and neither your Social Security benefit, nor the money that is coming from your taxes never situation. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Okay, excuse me, but thank you for the presentation. But I don't understand very well how to get under the never pay tax bracket. I don't understand how to get how to use that. Yes.
All right, so good question. So on the taxes never, we're talking about you never have to pay taxes on your money when you're ready to use it in the future, right? There are three ways to get there. One of them is called a municipal bond, right? So municipal bond is a like over here stocks and bond. Municipal bond is a bond that is issued by the state. So now how each state or municipality, when they're developing, whether it's going to be hospitals or schools or roads and so forth, they would issue bonds that people could invest in those local bonds. Now, if you invest in those bonds, the federal government says that they won't tax you on the gain. So for example, if you were to invest $5,000, a year in that municipal bond, right? And let's say the market pays the same 10% like it was paying in a mutual fund, and you make $500, this $500 you don't have to pay any taxes on it. So the money continues to grow. Now, when the bonds reaches maturity, let's say you had $1 million sitting there, and you continue to make that same 10%. We did use 8% in the other scenario. So now you'll be making, let's say this was 8%, just so we can keep the scenarios consistent. Let's say you made 8% in the municipal bond. That's $80,000 there that you'll be making from this account. And then your Social Security benefit of $20,000, will not just be tax-free income. The $1 million will continue to be there because it's still making the 8%. You're just living out the interest. And then when you pass away, the $1 million will not go to your family. That's one way. The other one is called a Roth IRA. Roth IRA, you can also do the same thing with a little bit more rules. Roth IRA does have maximum contribution limit, and Roth IRA is a form of IRA, but it came about 1996, and it was the name of a senator from Delaware. His name was Senator Roth, and what he said is that, so they had these accounts here since the 1970s. So for these accounts over here, these weren't designed for pension, right? These were designed because in the 1970s, everything in America was extremely high. You know, inflation rate was high, taxes was high, the market was high. In the 1970s, the highest tax bracket in America was 70%. So you could be a high earner in America. Let's say you're making $100,000. It would be possible that you could pay $70,000 in taxes. For corporations, it would be the same. They make $1 million, they could pay $700,000 in taxes. You get what I mean? So they needed something in the 1970s that could reduce your annual taxable income. For example, if you were to put $5,000 in here, over here, when you're making $50,000 for that year, you only pay tax on $45,000. The $5,000 goes in a 401k and it continues to grow tax deferred. But when you're ready to retire, you have to pay tax on the principal, you have to pay tax on the gain, right? And so on. So that's how these accounts were introduced as a pension. So Senator Roth said, I know why these accounts were introduced. They weren't really introduced for pension. They were introduced to reduce taxable income. People, they look like pension because you get to use it later, you know? So he said, can I set up an account where people can pay tax on the principal? It's kind of like planting fruits, right? Let's say this is a mango seed I'm planting here. I can choose to pay tax on the mango seed when I plant it, or I don't have to pay tax on the mango seed. But if I don't pay tax on the mango seed, when my mango tree is ready, now I have to pay tax on every single mango that I pick. You know what I mean? Now, what do you want to pay tax on? You want to pay tax on the seed when you plant it in? Or you want to pay tax on the harvest, you know? So Senator Roth said, can we set up an account, which is an IRA, but it's called a Roth IRA now, that I can pay tax on the seed like I would in a municipal bond, but the money would grow in the same way. If it grows 10%, and I'll make about $500 and it grows, and then I can get the money tax-free. Except that with Roth IRA, there's a maximum contribution limit of $6,500. If you're over 50, you can do $7,500. And the plan becomes a Roth when two things happen simultaneously. When you are older than 59 and a half, and the plan is more than 5 years old. So those two things have to happen. You have to be older than 59 and a half, and the plan has to be more than 5 years old. If those two things happen, now you get to take 100% of your money tax-free, both your contribution, the gain, and the amount that you turn into pension. Another thing, in a Roth IRA, there is no RMD, right? There is no required minimum distribution. So you could have this money sitting in here, use any portion of it. Like sometimes when they say, hey, take $100,000 out, you may not need $100,000, but you have to take it and pay taxes if there's an RMD. With Roth IRA, you could say, I just want $20,000. I live in Burkina Faso. I live in Jamaica. You know, the cost of living is less. I don't need that much money. I just need $20,000 a year. I get $1,000 is good. $1,000 in Jamaica is $150,000. You know what I mean? Like, I can live off of $25,000, you know, stuff like that, you know? So you could do that, and you have the flexibility to do that. And then when you die, the money would go back to the next generation and create generational wealth. Now, you know, the restriction here is that there's a maximum you can put in. The other way you can do it is inside life insurance. And we did talk about it the other day. You can do it You can do it with whole life or IUL. So with life insurance, it's designed the same way that you do a municipal bond and a Roth IRA, but now with more flexibility to also not just give you the cash value, but also give you the benefit. Let me explain to you. In life insurance, there are two types. You have term, and then you have permanent, right? So the term insurance is like, and this is a real estate seminar, so it's easy to explain. Term insurance is like renting an apartment, and then permanent insurance is like owning a home. So in term insurance, there is no built-in equity. In permanent insurance, there is built-in equity. So let's say, for example, let's say you wanted to get, I'm just gonna say, you wanted to get $500,000 worth of death benefit. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you wanted $500,000 worth of death benefit, and you wanted $500,000 worth of term, and the insurance company said, okay, you can get this for 30 years. For 30-year term, you can get this $500,000, and I'm gonna charge you $300 per year. So now, if you die in 30 years, your family will get $500,000. You're paying $300 per year. Now, if you don't die in 30 years, you'd have paid all of these $300, and the plan would be expired. Then you'd have to renew the plan at that point at your new age and new risk category. So you see, it's like renting an apartment, you know? So it's not a thing like which one is best. Is it term or permanent? No, there's no such thing. They just do what they do. If it's a term insurance, it's gonna be for a specified period. If you can't own a house, it don't mean that you're gonna live outside. You're gonna live in an apartment, right? So it's not a bad thing. But if it's a permanent insurance, let's say it's $500,000 you wanna buy. You wanna buy $500,000 worth of the benefit. The insurance company, since there is no particular term period, it's permanent. The insurance company may say, hey, I'm gonna charge you $1,000 per year in here. Now, with us, what we learn, the way our minds are conditioned oftentimes, we look at, value and price. So the value here is $500,000, and the price is either $300 or $1,000. Oftentimes, we're gonna just go for the $300. But what's hidden behind this $1,000 and the power that is behind this $1,000 is what is being kept away from our people. So there are rules to insurance, right? And one of the rules is that no two individuals at the age or class category cannot be charged more money, So any two individuals at the same age and class category, they have to be charged the same amount of money for the cost of insurance. So the cost of the insurance is $300. The insurance company by law can only take $300 to buy the death benefit. So the difference of $700, now that have to go towards your cash value, right? This earns interest. So to the same example that we're showing, now let's say you were making 10% on this, right? The insurance company now have to pay you each year. They have to pay you, as a market pay 10%. They have to now pay you $70 on that, right? For a year. Now, 99.9% of life insurance education stop right here, They don't know anything beyond this point. They said you can buy either term insurance or permanent insurance. Now, what I'm about to show you right now have nothing to do with life insurance. It just that the rules that were used to do what I'm about to show you, those rules are written inside of life insurance. Now, there was an individual in America. His name is E.F. Hunton. Now, E.F. Hunton, there's a hedge fund called E.F. Hunton & Co. Now, E.F. Hunton was so influential in the financial space, the slogan goes with his name that says, when E.F. Hunton speak, everybody listen. And so in the 1970s, when the market was high, E.F. Hunton & Co., they said, we want to sell these accounts that we have, these stocks and mutual funds and stuff, when the market is high. But what are we going to do with this money? What are we going to do with this money? We're going to put it in CD money market. when we're going to save this money when we sell it. So they said there are certain rules inside of life insurance that could enable us to save the money in there, in the cash value, like in here, right? But they had to go create a plan that could do that, and that's why they created a plan called Index Universal Life. So in Index Universal Life, it operates very similar to a whole life, but it allows you to earn interest on the market for what the market is doing. So remember the scenario that I showed, if the market goes down 50% and you have 100,000, your account will go down to now $50,000. In an Index Universal Life, your account will stay at $100,000. The following year, when the market goes back up 50%, now you have $150,000. The person who was in the market only have 75,000. You would not have 150,000. And because life insurance is tax-free, it's treated for tax purposes like municipal bond and Roth IRA, but it's most flexible. You don't lose your money like you lose it in a 401k. You don't have to pay tax on the gain like you would have to in a CD, money market, mutual fund, and stocks and all those things. But then it also comes with a death benefit, which none of the other account comes with. So as you can see, you put $1,000 in, $300 is what buying this death benefit. Now I'm just gonna say this, guys. Any account that you invest in, there are some money that is going towards a fee. In mutual fund, you have to pay fee, investment fee, management fee, all of those fees, right? In 401k, you have to pay a fee, sometimes 3%, 2%, whatever. The fee in life insurance buys a death benefit. The difference goes towards a cash value. So why am I explaining this? Because your best friend in life insurance is not the insurance company, it's the IRS. Now the IRS allows you to put more money into this account. Now if the IRS say you can put more money in the account, remember, the insurance company is not gonna teach you that thing, because that's not how they get paid. They get paid off you paying the premium. Now if the IRS said you could put $10,000 in this account per year, now there are rules that you have to learn. One of the law that I would encourage anyone to study is contract law. You don't have to be a lawyer in America to study these things. So in contracts, life insurance is a contract, and it's a contract between the insurer, which is the insurance company, and the policy owner, not the agent. The agent is just the person who writing that helping you to put that application together. They don't write the contract, right? They don't put the application together. In the contract, there is an owner in the actual contract, and the owner in the contract is actually the policy owner, right? Not the insurance company. What this means is that if you listen to the IRS and not the insurance company, and you put $10,000, the insurance company by law can only take the same $300 to buy the $500,000 benefit. The difference has to now go towards a cash value. So now in turn, instead of just $700,000 going into a cash value, you have $9,700 going towards a cash value. If the market pays 10%, they now owe you $970 instead of $70. And this is tax-free. Now, if you need this money to use, well, let's say, for example, you build your cash value up to $100,000, right? And you wanted to buy a real estate property. You wanted to buy a real estate property over here. And let's say it's a rental property that you're trying to buy a home or whatever. And you take the down payment, I'm just gonna say the down payment here is $50,000. You take this down payment from the insurance company to buy this property, boom. Now you own a home, put the $50,000 here. And the market pays 10% that year when you take this $50,000 out. Now, how much money do you think the insurance company owe you when you did all of this? Now you have a house, you took $50,000 out, and the market pays 10%. How much money do you think the insurance company have to pay? Anyone want to make a guess? Anyone want to make a wild guess? There's no wrong answer, guys.
Okay. So you said, could you repeat that one
You
more
have,
time?
you have $100,000 in your cash value. Maureen sold your house. You decide to take $50,000 from your cash value for the down payment on this house. The market pays, because the IUL, the market pays 10%. The market that the insurance company is using pays 10% that year. How much money do you think they have to pay you that year?
500.
Okay. They have to pay you $10,000.
5,000 instead. 5,000.
$10,000. Why? Here is why. Because you are the owner for this $100,000. What you're doing, you collateralizing this $100,000 to go acquire other assets. So by law, they still have to pay you interest on this $100,000 because you own it. So this is the secret that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to money. This is leveraging assets to create an arbitrage. So now, look at this. You now create a balance sheet, and that's what you have to know in this world. When you're born, you're a balance sheet, right? That's how these people who created this structure looked at us, you know? When we came to the Americas, the Caribbean, they carried us beyond the sea and call it Caribbean Sea, right? But anyhow, when we came here, they label us as shuttle, right? You have captains and shuttles, right? So we were an asset, so to speak, right? We were on somebody's balance sheet that never changed, you know, that never changed in this society. So you have to always see yourself as a balance sheet. So what I'm saying here is that on this balance sheet here, you only have $100,000 in cash, but you use $50,000 from it, not from it, against it, to create another asset over here. Let's say this asset over here is now $500,000. Now, guys, I want you to pay attention to this. I'm going to explain something to you about asset and balance sheet. On balance sheet, you have assets, liability, and equity, right? Now, the confusing thing that happened to a lot of people is this. Let's say you put $50,000 in this property here. The bank give you $400,000. You have $100,000 in your cash value over here. Now, from a balance sheet standpoint, you know what your asset is? Your asset is $600,000 in asset. It don't matter what the liability that the notice on here, your asset base is $600,000. You're still able to calculate this entire $100,000 here plus the other plus the value of the house. That's your asset. So when someone asks you to complete your your personal financial statement, that's what you're completing. So every time you acquire a new building, you're showing that, and you get to show them this money sitting over here that you now get to refinance this year and put it back and do it again, acquire more assets. So imagine if each of you on this line here have one of these type of accounts, and you can leverage that, how much property you can buy. And we are talking about single family house. Now let's say, for example, you're buying multi-family units. I'm just gonna show you guys something. You know, I was showing you guys the other day, you know, right as we were going to the end of the presentation. I'm just gonna erase here and I'm gonna show you something that I've done to buy multi-family units. When you saw me in DC the other day, that same week I closed on a property. You know, every year I try to buy like 3 or 4 multi-family units, buy a piece of DC. You know, that's how I want to spend the rest of my days in America. I want to have assets there while I'm in the Caribbean or in Africa. So I'm just gonna show you guys this. So I had an account. I was in my 20s. I had an account, $280,000, right? $280,000 in the cash value of the account. Now, $280,000, I was buying a property for $1 million, $1 million. Now, I want you to pay attention, guys. $1 million for the property. The down payment on it, down payment on the property is $200,000. The ARV on the property was 1.6 million. ARV means after renovated value. So after you buy the property and you renovate it, what is gonna value, right? So what I did, I went to the bank. Actually, I went to 2 banks. What I did, remember the other day we did the seminar, we talked about your credit? I got $200,000 worth of credit line from these guys, business credit line. Now, that's what I use for the down payment. So now, I owe the bank $200,000. Now, I owe the bank $200,000, close the property over here. Now, one of the very important things to understand about these business credit line, they're not showing on your personal credit. They're not reporting on your personal credit. So even you will see the pull on those things because they use your personal credit to give you this, but it's not showing on your credit report. The only time it shows on your credit report is if you forfeit, is if you don't pay, then it becomes your personal liability, But they will never be able to pull and see this on your credit report as a power. Now I owe this bank $200,000. So now I go to the insurance company and I take $200,000 loan for my cash value, $200,000. Guess what I did? Now I pay the banks. So now that I pay the bank, what happened to this $200,000 here on credit line? Anybody can explain to this? This is easy. This one is not hard. Now that I pay the bank off this credit line, what happened? Okay, I'm going to answer it. So it's an open
becomes available.
Yeah, it's an open credit line for $200,000. It's not going anywhere. So now I have it again. It's open. Becomes available for you to do the same thing again. Now the ARV on this property is 1.6. Once it's renovated, now 180 days later, you can go refinance it, 75% loan to value. Now you get $1.2 million. This thing here. $1.2 million, right? Every time I touch that point, it gives me problem. Anyways, $1.2 million, right? This is not $12 million, guys, it's $1.2 million. So from this $1.2 million, now this first lender over here, remember we owe them $800,000. So you owe them $800,000 because remember you only put on $200,000, right? They came up with the difference to give you the acquisition and the construction. So they paid from that. The other $200,000 go back to your insurance policy. That $200,000 go back in there. The insurance company still have to pay your interest on this entire amount, even when you were using this $200,000. They charge me 4% on this $200,000. But you listen to this. This 4% is calculated annually and is prorated because I paid it back before the 12 months, zero interest. Paid zero. So look what I've done. I used $0 because when I took the money from my cash value, I was still earning interest on it. So I've used $0 to create a $1.6 million in asset, a $200 credit line, I'm still making interest on my money, and I still have $200,000 left, tax-free income from the refinance of the property. That's now my income for that year. So all of my other income, I just take that and donate it to my foundation, a private foundation, so I don't have to pay any taxes on that. That's a different class. I'll show you a different class. But this is called a $0 investment strategy, guys. Or you can buy real estate with $0 with a combination of life insurance, cash value, or some of the tax never vehicle. I can show you some things that we do with trust fund and private foundation in another class. I can do another class to show you. We did talk about it briefly the other day, that you don't have to own stuff to be wealthy. And we're really talking about not owning the asset in your name, but put them inside of a trust or a private foundation. And then once it goes into the trust, no one can take them away from you. You know, it's more powerful than a prenuptial agreement. You know, it don't go through probate. There is no estate tax if it's structured properly. If you should pass away and you leave asset for your children, you can write in the trust how they can use it and how they can't use it. What the trustee can and cannot do. You can set up trust protector that governs the trustee. You know, it's just so much more things that you can do with a trust than you can do with a will or any of the other estate planning instrument. But that's another class. You know, we can do a estate planning class that talks about trust and foundation. But in a nutshell, guys, these are some of the basic things that you can start doing now. You know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. You don't have to have a $1 million idea to be a millionaire. You know, it can be a $1 idea that a million people like, you know. So you can start out by today, just, you know, with the little things that you have, you can start put them in place and just build yourself up. And as a community, you know, one of the things that you guys have, a lot of people don't have, you know, the individuals, you know, you have a community, you have a church, you have a community of people that if all of you combine, you can do a lot, you can work magic together, you know. So that's what I have for you today, guys. I hope it was informative. I hope I give some information here that are useful. I'm open for questions. Questions, comments, concerns.
Hello, question.
Okay, go ahead.
For example, you just gave it to us. Let me say that I have a zero. I have nothing. I don't have insurance. What is the step I have to take to have the same scenario?
If you ever take it from your savings?
No, I have I want to do it how you do it, but I don't have you put it insurance, you put a bank. I don't have insurance to go and borrow.
Right, so she wants to know how to get started. What's the step to get started, because she currently doesn't have that.
So the good thing about these products is that you could actually do it and take the money out in 30 days. So if, let's say, for example, you had the money to buy the property already, the down payment, you could actually.
But how do they get started? So I think is what they're saying. So they could meet up with you to get started.
Yeah, we could do like individual Zoom.
Yeah.
You could help you as a we could set it up for you. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was about to, hold on, he was about to explain the scenario. For those who are not ready yet, could you explain the scenario, even though they will meet you later on? Because we want to understand first, if you don't mind.
Right, so now I was saying, if someone already have an insurance policy and they wanted to leverage that, they already have it, so they could just leverage it. But for a person who don't have it, you could actually set one up and you could access the money in 30 days. It depends on how it is written. So in other words, let's say the same $50,000 scenario, you could actually go set up a policy. you could put the $50,000 in it. The entire 50,000 is not going to be available because some of it have to buy the debt benefit, right? Because remember, there's a debt benefit. So I'm just going to say, let's say 45,000 of that $50,000 is available. You can take that $45,000 out, buy the real estate, you know, the policy is still there, you know, nothing changes, and then you can do the same refinance, pay back the $45,000 into the policy, and do it all over again. But now, not only did you buy a property, but you also get debt benefit. Let's say this $50,000 give you $1 million worth of debt benefit. If you passed away, you've just created an estate of $1 million plus the real estate property. You know, in just that one transaction. And this $1 million, by the way, guys, is tax free. And it does not go through probate.
Thank you so much. Fresena, please move forward with your question.
You can. Oh, it's fine. I just wanted how to start, and since he is available to have a one-on-one with it, I will move forward and have one-on-one with him and get started. Thank you.
Okay. All right, no problem. So Maureen, you can give them Anne-Marie number, and let me see. Let me see if I can put it in the chat here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
This is Mrs. Abba. I want to know, I just want to make sure if I understood what you said very good about how to create assets. So are you saying that you started the whole thing through the Index Universal Life Insurance assets? That's what you are saying?
Yeah, so I'm saying, so like, you know, when you're buying, when you're acquiring assets, right? When you're moving money, let me just break it down here. Let me first break it down so you can get the reason for it.
Okay.
If I have $30,000 here, right?
Yeah.
I use the same $50,000 because since we've been using $50,000, that's what we keep it simple. If I have $50,000 here, right?
In Index Universal Life?
I'm just gonna say if I have $50,000, let's say I had it in a savings account, and I buy this property here, I buy a real estate property. You know, I bought a real estate property and I use my $50,000. I use it. Let's say I took it from my savings account. Let's say I had it in a bank account, in my savings account. If I use it, not only did I use it, but I used the earning power of the $50,000.
Yeah.
The key thing to remember about money is that you should never give up control of your money.
Okay.
The earning power of it, because someone else, wealth can never be dissolved. It just changes who control it. Am I making sense here? So the moment you transfer that $50,000, someone else is making money off that $50,000. So I'm just saying, instead of using this $50,000 and just go put it inside of a real estate property, and it's not making any money for you, you're giving up control of it. All I'm saying is that you can do the same thing, but still making interest on it while you're doing that, and you still have control over it. That's why we put it inside of an Index Universal Life. Because if you were to take the loan from the bank in a savings account, that would be inflation would be killing you, because now the bank is paying you, I'm just gonna say, you know, 3% in a savings account, whatever it is, 4%, whatever, but they're gonna charge you about 8%, right? So you'll be 5% going backward. Inside of an IUL, because it's a contract and the rules are written differently, the insurance company have to pay you based on what the index is doing. So if the index that they're using is the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the Russell 2000, the Hang Seng, whatever index is used, they have to honor that because it's contractually agreed upon. So if the market paid 10%, they have to pay you 10%. They can only charge you what is contractually agreed upon, let's say 4%. But if 4% is not charged up front, if it's an IUL, if it's a whole life, it's charged up front. But if it's an IUL, it's calculated annually. They charge it at the end of the 12 months when you took the loan. But if you pay it off before the 12 months, you kill that. You kill that 4%.
Okay, let me see if I understand this. So what you're saying that if you have a cash value in your index universal life,
Yep.
you can borrow money against that money.
Yep.
To put as a down payment. That's what you're saying?
Yep. To buy any asset, to buy stock.
Okay.
To
So
buy
when
anything.
you borrow the money against your cash value, you are going to pay some interest anyway, right?
Right. So the interest is calculated annually.
Okay.
It's calculated at the end of it's 12 months later, it's calculated.
Okay.
So if you paid off before that calculation date, it's zeroed out or prorated the date when it's paid.
Oh.
It's different because the contract, you know.
Allô, shalom,
Okay.
mon frère.
So the key thing here is this.
Oui, ça va. Ça va.
Everybody
Je
should
voulais
invest
m'assurer que
in
j'étais
everything
sur mute, quoi.
Like for example, I said in the seminar the other day,
J'espère que vous suivez.
investing is knowledge,
Ok.
gambling is not knowledge, right?
Tout à l'heure, je vais
Bible
vous
said,
appeler
"My
pour que
people perish for the
vous
lack of
lui
knowledge."
adressez quelques
Now,
questions.
if you understand the stock market and you understand certain type of stock,
Apprêtez vos questions.
you should buy it. Like I buy stocks, I own stocks, I own gold, I own, you know, there's nothing that, you know, I don't invest in. Cryptocurrency, you know what I mean? Like once you understand it, you should invest in it.
Oui.
So what you have to understand now is that
Pardon?
you should invest in stuff, but you should not invest and be so into deep in any one thing, so your mind is not open to other stuff, right? Your mind should be open that, okay, if this stock is not working, I'm gonna sell it and I'm gonna bring it home. If this cryptocurrency is not working, I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna bring it home. If this mutual fund, if this real estate deal is
Maintenant,
not working,
ces choses-là,
ce
que vous trouvez important maintenant qui n'est pas livré, il faut l'amener à livrer ça.
You know, because I did it when my money I paid.
S'il en a, au cas où il n'en a pas, vous les notez et nous allons réorganiser une autre séance pour que vous nous livrez tout ça.
Money needs a home. If you haven't taken anything from what I've said tonight, I want you to remember this. This is more important than anything that I've said tonight. Money needs a home. Money needs somewhere to live that is safe, that is going to be there, and it's always ready for you when you're ready to use it. So you can send money to work.
Ok, non. Je voudrais aussi que le peuple sache que vous êtes là. Donc je vais le faire. Ok, merci beaucoup, à tout à l'heure.
Definitely, savings account is not the best place. Those 401k, those things that we talked about, nothing is wrong with owning them, especially if your company is matching you. You should participate in your company 401k plan, lease up to the match, so you get that money, free money. So financial, knowledge is very important. Nothing that I say here is to give you specific advice on what you should or shouldn't do. It's just a concept to let you know that money needs a home. You have to have somewhere to keep it and to always move it from that point to the next deal that you're going to do. And I'm saying whole life IUL is one of the best places that money can live, especially if you understand the trust that we can talk about in the next class, trust and foundation and those things. You will see how powerful it becomes over time. You should go look up John D. Rockefeller, and there's a book out there called What Would Rockefeller Do? It talks about these kinds of concepts that we talked about. The Vanderbilt was wealthier than John D. Rockefeller when they were both alive, and today, his wealth is no longer powerful. John D. Rockefeller is still the most powerful person. It show what they've done differently, you know. Yeah. So that's the thing. Money needs a home.
Thank you. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Okay, it's about the
IRA.
rough IRA. Okay. Who can put money in rough IRA? And what age? Is there any age limit? I think I missed that part.
So the Roth IRA don't have an age limit.
Can you repeat that? I didn't get it.
So the Roth IRA don't have an age limit. You know, like the other accounts,
Okay.
like 401k and those stuff, you can only put money in there up to age April 1st, age 72. Roth IRA don't have those restrictions. You can put money in it anytime. It just becomes a Roth when you are older than 15 and a half and the plan is more than 5 years old.
I'm trying to open this. You say it become what when you are 59 and half? What happened?
59 and a half and the plan is more than 5 years old. So what I say by it becomes a Roth, and this is like a whole thing. So for example, you know how we say you put $5,000 into the plan?
Yeah.
And if the market pays, I'm just gonna say, let's say for example you put $5,000 in a year and the market pays 10%. So you made $500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you build this up, and over the years, I'm just gonna say, let's say you put $100,000 in over the years. That's what your contribution is, right?
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 in, and you earn $50,000, hypothetically speaking, right? 50K. So you put 100K in, you have 50K a year. So now, if you're not 15 and a half and the plan is not more than 5 years old, and you took the entire amount out, because you contributed the 100K, you don't have to pay taxes on that, but now you'll have to pay taxes on the $50,000 at your tax bracket, right? So you'll have to pay taxes on $50,000. If the plan becomes a Roth, you will get the entire $150,000 tax free.
So when does the account become Roth?
When you are older than 59 and a half, and the plan is more than 5 years old.
Okay, that means if you are older than 59 and the plan is older than 5 years, so from that date,
it's around.
It's tax free?
Yes.
Okay.
So even if you started it when you're older, as long as you have to attend, those two things have to happen. Yeah, so you can start it when you're 60, and then when you're 66, you can start taking out the gain and the principal, yeah.
So the account become tax free only if you are 59 and the account is more than 5 years or 5 years old. Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Oh yes, go ahead.
So I just have a follow-up question due to what I just heard. Let's say that someone start the saving, not the saving, start with a retirement account with traditional, like it's a deferred, meaning that IRS will not take the tax out of your income.
Yeah.
And that tax you will pay it when you'll be trying to withdraw money from that retirement account. So you start with traditional, and then at a certain point, you want to change everything into Roth IRA.
Yep.
So what that means that you have two types of accounts?
No, so you can do a Roth conversion. So you can convert from a traditional to a Roth IRA, and there won't be any penalty. There is no penalty to convert to a Roth. because it's the IRS. The IRS recognizes Roth as a lifetime exchange for retirement planning. However, the income tax is different. So when you convert it, you don't have to pay the penalty, but you do pay the income tax and converting. But after you convert it now, anything you earn after that, then it's tax free.
Okay, okay. All right.
So it's kind of like, so if you go to the market, right? If you went to the market and there is, I'm just gonna use mango again. And there's green mango and then there's ripe mango. Which one I think is more expensive?
Okay.
Ripe mango is gonna be more expensive, right?
Right, yes.
It's more ready. It's more
Yes.
ready. So taxes like that. So if you were to convert a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, it's like you're paying the tax when it's green, so it's going to be less. If you didn't convert it, when you're ready to retire, you're paying more, right? Because now it's ripe. It's more time. It's a bigger, so it's paying more. So at any point, it's kind of like having a toothache. You want to continue to treat it, or you want to get rid of it. So tax. The point is, you can't get rid of the taxes in any one of those traditional accounts. You're gonna have to pay them one day. So it's either you pay it now or you're gonna pay it later. So you can do conversion at any point. You don't have to do full conversion. For example, there's a layer for tax brackets, right? So you have to just meet with your accountant and go through your tax bracket, your threshold. So for example, let's say your next tax bracket threshold is $50,000 away from taking you from, I'm just gonna say, a 22% to a 25%, from a 25% to a 28%, right? Well, you don't want to change the tax bracket. So you could say, okay, this year I'm gonna convert $49,000 of my traditional IRA into my Roth IRA, and next year you do the same thing, and next year, you don't have to do it one time, you can just convert it over time. But when you retire, now you know that you have a tax-free income. But it takes knowledge of the person who's giving you advice and strategic planning to move over from one stage of tax scenario to the next.
Okay, thank you. There is a question on the chat box.
Okay. I'm not able to see that. Oh, is the one that says what's the difference between, I think I saw it earlier. Oh, Maureen, can I read the question for me? I'm not seeing it.
Is there an income limit for Roth IRA? I
Yes.
believe we.
Yes, there is income limit. There's income limit. There's income limit for Roth IRA. It's calculated at an individual level and also at the corporate level.
Or limited time.
And that changes each year.
No, wait, I'm gonna contribute and breaking.
I have a question, please.
Hold on 1 second, let me answer. There was another question that says what's the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA. There are many differences. The 401k is funded with pre-tax money. The Roth IRA is funded with after-tax money. Yeah. The
Freddy, we can hear you.
Yeah, and then the 401k maximum contribution limit is higher than the Roth contribution limit. So if you work at a job, you will see there's an option for you to do Roth contribution to your retirement or 401k contribution. The 401k contribution is like $20-something thousand per year. You can do the Roth, which is $6,500. So the contribution limits are different. The income qualification is different. And the how the money is taxed are treated differently, which makes the rules different when you're 15 and a half, or how it's going to be treated for income tax purposes when you're ready to retire. How it affects your social security benefit is also different. In terms of how the investment itself work in it, those aren't different because you get to choose the mutual fund or whatever in both Vickers Roth or 401k. You know, but there are many differences and then there are some similarities. Good question though, by the way.
Okay. Quick question. Can someone elect the type of retirement investment he wants with his employer? Like most company offer for 401k. Can someone says to his boss, instead of 401k, I would like to get an IRA, a Roth investment instead? Is that
Yeah,
possible?
the most, so some companies give you the option for 401k or defined benefits or deferred comps. But oftentimes inside of the package, they always give you the option for 401k and Roth. You know, nowadays they start doing that. That you get to, so portion of the money can go to Roth and portion goes to 401k. As long as the policy itself is designed, like when we write the plan for companies, we use a company called Guide Star. They manage the investment accounts for us. We write them and everything and set the plan up, and then they manage the investment account with the employees. Because when we write those plans, we work for the employer. We set a plan for the employer, and we put things in there for like Roth IRA, deferred comp, defined benefits, and 401k. You know, so employees have the flexibility to choose which option they want and the type of account that they want to invest in as well. But it depends on who's writing the plan, you know. But you would have to just check with your HR or retirement administrator to see what options you have.
Thank you. We have
Hello.
go ahead, Rich.
Okay, thank you. I have a question, please.